So let me invite our panelists here. First inviting our moderator, Mr. Krishan Khanna, Chairman of iWatch. He was there in the first session itself with us, and as I mentioned, and the detailed profile is there on the screen. He's trying to make a difference, introducing good governance, education, and how it can impact the other spheres. Inviting our panelist, Shazia Ilmi, a social activist. Earlier she's been an anchor on Star News. She has been a part of India Against Corruption movement, and today she's the brand ambassador of Clean Delhi campaign. Inviting our next speaker, Mr. Vijay Chadha. He's not there with us. May I invite our next speaker, Ms. Jodi Underhill. She's the co-founder and chief executive officer of Waste Warriors. She's actually popularly known as the Garbage Girl. She's now the CEO and co-founder of Waste Warriors. This is an NGO which is working towards tackling India's garbage problem by creating models that can be replicated. They have been working in Dehradun, Dharamshala, Corbett, and they have plans to take it and cover the entire country. Inviting our next speaker, Mr. Krishan Kalra. He's the former Secretary General, PSG Chamber, and former Additional Secretary General of FICCI. And he's also the past president of All India Management Association and Delhi Management Association. He does voluntary work in areas of skill development, healthcare, environment conservation, urban development, and empowerment also of visually impaired persons. Our next speaker, inviting Dr. Virendra Goswami. Dr. Goswami, ladies and gentlemen, is the visiting scientist to UNIDO, ICTP. He is former Vice Chancellor of Sangam University and Sunrise University. So once again, welcoming all our panelists and moderator, I would like to now hand over to Mr. Khanna for moderating the session. A request to the panelists, if in the first round we can probably just highlight the problem and then stick to solutions from each one of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nearly 3:20, 6:27. How much time do we have? Because we are 1 hour late. 1 hour? Okay, now I'm going to, since I'm the moderator, I'm going to decide what we have to do for this 1 hour. I'm going to give 1 or 2 minutes to each of our panelists. I'm not going to introduce anybody. Everybody is known to everybody here. And I would like to, because I have been given a set of questions which I'm going to ask the panelists, and then you can answer them one by one. But I'd like your take, and this is the total aspect of Swachh Bharat. Defecation is one aspect of it, but the total, the only thing I have to say as a moderator in my 2 minutes is that this has to start from kindergarten. You have to teach the children of India on these habits, and this has to be part of your DNA. And unfortunately, it's not part of the DNA, and then trying to tell a 20 or a 30 or a 40-year-old guy who's going in a Mercedes not to throw the, the Red Bull can or whatever out of the back window, he doesn't care, because he's beyond that, So I think if we really want to put our house in order, we've got to start at that point. That's one aspect I wanted to mention. The other thing is this, that I think it's the first time that I have seen a Prime Minister of a country taking it up, in India I mean, as an issue. And now that it has been taken up at that level, and he speaks on it on all the occasions, it's not that he's spoken about it only on the 15th of August, but any occasion, and he pushes it. So I'm very positive that this will go through, and with that I'm going to request the panelists to their 2 minutes, and then we'll go with the questions. Please start. Shazia.
Thank you so much. It's indeed an honor to be part of this wonderful forum and this eminent panel, which I have so much to learn from. You know, one has spent a lot of time with television as a journalist, working with developmental journalism. One became part of a whole movement called Anna Hazare movement. One was a part of the Nirbhaya Andolan, and then of course Aam Aadmi Party when contested elections. Now when we look at sanitation per se or hygiene or we realize that everything is linked. And one pervading, you know, a recurrent theme was this issue which irked me and I think many of us time and time again. If there's one thing we could change was just changing the surroundings, and there was something about changing the outside that would work on your inside, you know, because it has a kind of a salubrious effect on how you feel and think as well. And it was so kind of say defeating to see that no matter what efforts you made, there was such vested interest not even to allow just simple toilets in slum areas. Vasant Vihar, RK-Puram is where I contested from, and you will be surprised to know they are right next to Vasant Vihar. Just barely a kilometer down the road, there is Bhavar Singh Camp, there is Ekta Vihar, Sonia Vihar. People just live amidst defecation. And to think is to get in the one of the poshest areas of Delhi just to bring some respite in terms of getting portable toilets or any was impossible. So we realized that it's just not an overhauling of our infrastructure or of processes, but of attitudes. And that is exactly what Vimi mentioned and even what Sir was saying just now. I think really it starts from kindergarten, but there is an added problem that we have as Indians. I think somewhere not just a feudal mentality, but the deep caste biases that we have made us who we are. And we actually feel that is someone else's job. So for me, Swachh Bharat might be just symbolic. Parts of it have been idiotic and they've been covered, and I have also been shown, you know, cleaning up when someone else had thrown leaves. But I feel it's important for people from upper class and upper caste to be seen with brooms. Is that visual image that must endure and actually cut the bias that is with us vis-a-vis cleanliness. Now there are so many issues with open defecation. Are we talking about that per se or just generally?
Just a bowl thing, just now 2 minutes, and
okay.
then we go to
so okay, I'll come back to that.
2 minutes is 2 minutes.
I think 2 minutes.
I'm going to be a little tough on the time.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Khanna. Ladies and gentlemen, to my mind, there are two facets to the problem. One is, of course, what the Prime Minister has articulated by way of his Swachh Bharat definition, that half of our population has no toilets. That means almost 600 million people or 120 million families have no toilets. So that is one major problem that has to be tackled. But another problem to my mind, now that's the problem of the have-nots, who do not have toilets, who do not have access to facilities, this indignity going to open defecation, it's unhygienic and everything. So the second is the problem of the haves. Like Shazia referred to the well-off people, the people of the upper strata of society, etc. and all that. That's the mindset problem. Mr. Khanna mentioned about people throwing a Red Bull can are more dangerous than is the red pan that they throw on the... very often you see a swanky car stopping, a bejeweled hand opening the gate and then throwing out everything that she or he has in her mouth on the road, thinking that it's somebody else's job to do that. Or the problem that people throw garbage on the streets. Indians, as a matter of habit, keep their houses very clean, but they don't think twice about throwing the garbage in the other guy's plot or on the street or an empty plot on the road where they're living. Not segregating the garbage. Despite all the education, despite all the leaflets that we've received, most people would still not segregate the garbage. As we are all aware, if later on we get some time, I'd like to tell you as to what kind of garbage should really go to a landfill. Hardly 10% of the solid waste from any house needs to go to a landfill, because then there is the dry waste, there's the wet waste, which must be processed compulsorily, it must be processed. So we're talking of, you know, and urban areas, the one where there's a higher amount of per capita solid waste generated because of more consumerism, of more consumption of more goods, etc., and all that happens. And then I see three dimensions to this Swachh Bharat. It is not only the defecation, it is not only making 120 million toilets. Somehow probably the government will find the money for making those also. There's going to be down the line, we're going to need water, we're going to need piping, we're going to need sewerage lines, are we going to need soak pits, etc., which have to, sanitary pits which have to take care of that garbage. There is also, in addition to the toilets, there's the problem of the air pollution and the water pollution, which is becoming a major area. All the three things have to be looked at together. Air pollution by industries, air pollution by vehicles, air pollution by burning of dung cakes, burning of leaves and all those kinds of things. And water pollution, once again, the biggest culprit is industry, small industry particularly, who do not process their wastewater and so let it go into the earth or into the river, or the untreated sewage going into the rivers. We keep talking about cleaning the Ganga and cleaning the Yamuna. We will not be able to clean them unless we stop doing this and throwing untreated sewage into the river. Solid waste leaching into the underground water. Now all these problems are together, and very briefly, if we get time, we'll take them up one by one. The single biggest central factor to all these is going to be water. So my friends, we've got to pay a lot of attention to water. My 2 minutes are over. Judy?
Hi, my name is Jodie Underhill, and as we mentioned, I'm the CEO of Waste Warriors. So I know you're all dying to know, but I came to India as a tourist. I spent my 20s traveling the world, and when I got to India, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that a country so beautiful, with such beautiful people, had such a major garbage problem everywhere that you went. Everywhere that you went. And when I got to the mountains of Dharamsala, I was just praying to be in this home of the Dalai Lama in McLeod Ganj, and I got there and it was exactly the same, and it was the only country, I'm 38 years old, that I called home and I cried. And I said, it's so dirty, I don't like it. So I had a decision. Go home, never come back, that's fine. Or can something be done, because something was killing me. Like, why is it like this? Why is everybody throwing on the ground? Why does nobody care? Why are there no systems? Why are the municipalities not doing something? Is this just the way that it is, or can something be done? And something can be done, and I'm sitting here today and I believe that 100%. I've been working with waste in India now for 5.5 years. I started a waste collection service from a remote mountain camp. We cleaned 8 kilometers of hiking trails. We then started a door-to-door waste collection service because I wanted to see if this legislation you have in India, this municipal solid waste rules, can we really abide by that legislation, and can we work like that, and does it make sense? Yes, it does. It makes perfect sense. And if there's one message that I can get out there to everybody, including the Prime Minister of this country, is enforce the municipal solid waste rules, because that is your key to a clean India. And the fact that this legislation came into force 14 years ago and that nothing has been done is absolutely tragic, and it's the reason that we are in this situation right now. Yes, the people have to do something, but the government also have a duty. In the West, we do not segregate waste because we are good people. Let me tell you that. We do it because we get fined if we don't. And if our non-recyclable dustbin doesn't close, we get fined. If we're not segregating, we get fined. You drop a cigarette end, you drop an apple core, you are fined. And it's like a day's salary. So people don't do it, and it's not because they're environmentalists. So there's a good way of creating revenue. So I will just finish up. We then started organising children's days, educating them young, and I've never turned away a kid. If it's old enough to sit there, then it can be there in one of our sessions. Going into schools, speaking to people, raising awareness, going out there into the local community. Then we moved to Dehradun, started maintaining shopping localities, public spaces, public areas, getting the local businesses to support us. The Chaiwala will give us a donation of 100 rupees to make sure that his whole area stays clean, and installing dustbins, because we don't see them, and if you come to the West you'll see them everywhere, and it's so much easier for us to be clean, and you don't have them here, and we desperately need them, but they need to be emptied every single day. And I'm really, really happy to tell you that we're now working at the Corbett Tiger Reserve. We run a waste collection service from 11 villages, and we're expanding that to 120 villages, over 100 kilometres, because the entire perimeter of Corbett is a dump site. And I'm sure none of you even notice that if you go and visit the Tiger Reserve. And I've just started work in Rishikesh, setting up a waste management system at the Paramahaniketan Ashram. And I will be very honest with you, the hardest thing is changing people's mindsets.
Thank you very much, sir. I just want to add one thing. You know, there is a fantastic youth which I saw made by her. How old is it? 2 years old?
Yeah.
And I think everybody should see that, you know, because it's something done. I mean, we as Indians should be ashamed because somebody comes from outside India and tells us how to clean our country. I'm sorry to say it publicly, but I am not ashamed. And I really salute you for what you have done. Thank you very much.
Well, my thanks to the organizers, Mr. Vijay Batra as well as Mr. Ansari, and to all of you to be give me this opportunity to be here. Well, I fully agree with Jody because I was a student as well as professor in the United States, in Wisconsin. It's a system which you have to make. It's a system which works. I give you a very simple example. In metro, nobody speaks. Same people who chew the tobacco and everything, nobody speaks. Why? Same metro stations, metro train, metro coaches. The same Indian who are so-called unruled and whatever maybe you may say, but we are definitely good people also. We have just made a hue and cry that we are not progress. We have progressed a hell of a lot, but we must see where we have not, so we should do it. Let's be very positive, having attitude. So it's the attitude which also matters. So you have to make this attitude of cleanliness. Our all epics told cleanliness is near to godliness. Udhret Atmana Atmanam. So you should start cleaning Swachh Bharat from your Swachh yourself. First make clean yourself. First make clean mentally, emotionally and physically. And then this thing, when you become a model, charity begins at home, your children will see. And when children get trained, then when you do something wrong, they point out, Papa, don't do it. And at the age of Papa, you only listen to your children, sometimes you don't listen to your wife also. So this is very important. The education, the system should be from primary education, secondary education, and the question is, everybody says that we should have Swachh Bharat, Adarsh Bharat, but nobody says how to have it. So develop the cleanliness Bharat management systems, governance systems. For that, of course, the one is the fine. You have to impose heavy fine like metro, and the people will be okay because hum dande se mante hain. It is in our character. What Madam was telling, that we will vacate the hall 6 p.m. and that's why we're rushing up now. Why can't we punctual in everything? So the time management has to be taught the people. When you learn the time management, again, I just talked to Mr. Munjal Sahab that you are manufacturing your company apart from roads. Why don't you provide the dustbins in your cars, in your scooters? Sometimes the good gentleman wants to throw the rubbish, he doesn't get the dustbin. And that's provided in those cities, in the cars. People are self-disciplined. Secondly, very good idea, our great Prime Minister has given the first, he's an innovator. You have to be innovator in life if you have to progress. Why our industry did not progress? We did not innovate. And lastly, I must say, I know it's 30 seconds left in my time. I will not exceed it.
It's over, sir.
And the last thing is, after this thing, you have to adopt the award policy finally, and then the people work. Involve everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, I must congratulate the panelists. We've done eaten 16 and a half minutes. We are doing well. I plan to have another one round. I'm going to throw some questions. I've gone through all this list. For example, Indian Railways. There's no use, because I think Suresh Prabhu only can sort it out, the railway minister. With 15,000 trains and everybody doing everything in those trains, we as citizens really can't do anything. They will have to change. No, we can, but they'll have to change, first of all the railway coaches, because today everything just goes straight down onto the earth, and in fact the railway stations are the dirtiest. Yeah, but that's too small. Okay, but so I'm not going to go through these questions which have been given to me. I'm going to make my own questions, and I'm going to give some new ideas to our panelists and to because I want to keep half an hour open for discussions from the audience. Suggestions, maybe maximum 20-30 seconds, and questions also. But first I want to just share one thought with you. I've lived in Japan, and I've seen there in the schools, the children and the teachers clean the toilets before they go home. In every school, they clean the school before they go home, so that the next day when they come back, they have a clean toilet. So I have sent, if anybody wants to see that email with the photograph of the kids doing it, you send me an email and I'll send you the details. I mean, it's not that I'm making a story. So it's a fact. So you'll have to give me your card with that, you write Japanese cleaning, and I will send it to you. So that's one take. I mean, we need to start in the schools. I really agree with you, because the question is, otherwise these problems will always remain a problem. So we need short-term solutions and we need long-term solutions. So my first, I'll give you 1 minute for it. So what are your short-term solutions and what are your long-term solutions? Starting with you, Shazia. Yeah. So now we need to get solution mode. You know, I think everybody here knows what's the problem.
I think this has to be a calibrated approach and a multi-pronged approach. We've started a few things. One is insistence on segregation, wet and dry, e-waste as well as toxic waste. So we started working there. Also giving some dignity, not just to the Safai Karamchari of MCD, but also giving insurance and cards to rag pickers, who actually are our original recyclers, who do us such a huge favor. Also the whole idea of landfills, the way it is, when we just talked about land, the problem with availability of land, it's so sad, and it's absolutely tragic that we waste so much of this thing, and we create not just foul odor and everything, but waste places, distinct spaces. So we've talked about actually having composting as a must for every RWA. It's very simple to do, and there is a group of people who can actually work with RWAs, make it almost mandatory. Now the problem also is with selling of that compost, what is to be done. So there are these horticulture departments and many which can buy from the various RWAs at a price. So it's kind of, there's a cost benefit analysis and people don't mind giving time to it. So it's as making it mandatory almost for every citizen and to do it. And as for long term, I really think it has to start with schools. Government schools, colleges, huge awareness programs, public awareness campaigns.
India has 2 million schools.
Absolutely.
I think to buttress further what Shazia has said, I want to share with you that Karnataka High Court about 2 years ago came out with a decree that any door generating more than 30 kilos of solid waste has to mandatorily process it in-house. And there are small processes available. Of course, they're available for lesser generation of solid waste also, 2 kilos, 3 kilos a day. But any door doing 30 kilos, that means small hotels and restaurants and offices and things like that, that needs to be made mandatory all across the country. In every city it needs to be made mandatory. And the second thing which I mentioned again, about which I am very passionate, is that we are wasting a lot of water. In the long run, we're going to need water to clean up our act. Water is going to be central to all that. And the wastage of water is totally criminal in the country. Other than what happens, what the government can control, like evaporation from the canals and the leakage from the canals, or the leakage pipes or things like that, I think there's a lot that every citizen can do. The way we waste water on every activity of the day, either having a shower or shaving or brushing or washing our hands, etc., and all that, or even here on the tables. I was very happy to see this small 200 milliliter bottles lying here. Many conferences you go to, you find 1 liter bottles there. Everybody opens that bottle, everybody drinks 1/4 of that and leaves it on the table, and then the caterers, of course, just throw it away, and there is so much of wastage of water. And number 3, I think this littering of the roads again, Judy mentioned about this, that we've got to have a law against that. We need some vigilantes. No. So what I was going to suggest was that we need honorary road vigilantes, people who go around in their cars, etc., to be empowered to challan people on the spot and fine them a couple of thousand rupees on the spot if somebody is throwing a banana peel or a pan, spitting the pan or anything else, a can being thrown and all that. Let the car be stopped. Let the guy pay 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees on the spot. That's the only thing that will work here.
Same guy, Mr. Kalra, same guy goes to Singapore. He is shivering in his pants, although it's so hot there, you know. The reason is he throws a banana peel and that's the end of his trip maybe, because they're going to fine him so much that he'll remember that trip, you know, he'll forget about sightseeing and all that.
So sir, we need to do that here.
So I think this is something I'm going to ask my friend Casey to take it up, because he's got the connections with the various ministries, and Ram Atri. Where is Ram? Ram, This is your issue, my friend. You got to, I'm going to throw this to you. You got to sort it out. And yeah, please.
Can the police, do we need vigilantes? Can the police not do it?
Exactly. The police should have it.
You know?
We don't need another set of people.
And because, I don't know about you guys, but in Dehradun, none of our police booths have dustbins, so they just throw directly onto the street. So we need to start with them.
Yeah.
We actually did a clean-up around the SSP's office in Dehradun. 50 bags of garbage from around the SSP's office. We've done clean-ups around the municipality's office. These are all the kind of things, it has to start with them, surely. So short term, let's stop littering. And I know you're all probably feeling a little bit uncomfortable remembering those times when you have wound down the window or thrown it somewhere. And also, I don't understand why people are so scared to speak to other people when they see them doing it. There's a very nice way that you can do it. You pick up the piece of garbage, you give them your sweetest, loveliest smile, and you say, "Ma'am, sir, I think you dropped something." And you make eye contact. And you see all these things going through their minds. But they know that they did the wrong thing. Because if we all stopped walking by and turning the other way, not my problem, it is your problem. Because the way I see it, when I go and do these educational programs with the kids, what are we leaving behind for them? That is the one thing that completely motivates me, the mess that we're leaving behind for them. And secondly, long term, every packet of Lay's chips you eat, every packet of Parle G, the world's largest biscuit provider, non-recyclable packaging. That has to change. Look at their CSR pages, please. Later on, go on Google, look at the CSR of Parle G, you'll laugh. Everything they sell is in non-recyclable packaging. There is alternatives are available and the technology is available. From Tetra Pak cartons you can make construction sheets. We're talking about affordable housing, you can make construction sheets from Tetra Pak. With that, you can mix non-recyclable plastic. When there's a hole, something damaged, you just put in more of that non-recyclable plastic and it seals it. It's genius. And when you're talking about money, where's the money going to come from? It also needs to come from them because they're the ones that have created this mess in the first place.
Thank you. Just a minute, sir. I hope we are recording this session. Are we recording this session? And will it go on to YouTube? Can be uploaded, no? Because these are very valuable points which the panelists are mentioning. Please continue.
Well, I am very scared of my IIT KGP and Mr. Krishna Khanna because I have to take only 1 minute. Yes, you see, as visiting professor, I had been about 27 countries, and I only find small countries, they are very neat and clean. Why my country is not clean? What I saw, the rule should be, is the employer who should be behind the bars, not only employee. What my point is, that if it is very true, I put it on the trait that for child labor, if you want to stop, you should, the employee should be behind the bar, not the employee only. Similarly, the people who are littering or doing all these things, they should also be responsible. At the same time, more these people where you eat, the hotel joints, public places where you eat and just throw a litter, those hotel people, even those RAW or the streets or the house owners where the tenants are living, they should also be made responsible to why the people are littering in their presence. As exactly she said, in my university what I have done, I used to walk and round and pick up the garbage in front of students, switch off all the lights and fans. So you need not tell the student, hey, VC is doing. So this is what you have to inculcate the culture in the people to do it, and people do it. Thank you very much. And last, one thing which I forget, we have to develop technology. Like you see, aircraft you go, you use the toilet, it gets cleaned automatically. Similarly, the dustbin should be also having this type of technology where you perhaps need not to lift up the things, and we will develop it. Thank you very much.
Just a small intervention. Somebody mentioned about vigilantes and people. I really feel no matter how much you work with MCD, health inspectors, sanitation inspectors, I think unless and until communities and neighborhoods really work on a certain citizens program to watch, take pictures, remind, name and shame, none of this will happen. So I think it's very important to keep an eye on all of these things and not expect just the inspector to come by, saunter in and go off without anything happening. So following up, and I think the whole idea for public campaigns is needed here. We should be, every RWA, every neighborhood, every community should be working on that, even at village level.
So I think creating awareness, in Germany in the Second World War they had what was known as carpet bombing. Every square kilometer, every square meter was bombed. So I think we need to have this awareness as a carpet bombing exercise. Means every village, every panchayat, every municipality, every organization, they should be, in morning, in fact, instead of saying their prayers, they should say we are going to clean our whatever office or home or factory. Okay, now we still have 6-7 minutes before I open it to the audience. So I'm going to ask you for a 1-minute round. I'm just going to share some information with you because we work on technology, our foundation. And technology have been developed in India for effluent treatment, for sewage treatment using biotechnology, no chemicals. The only thing is that we don't have big money like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, so we can't market it, in that way. But examples are running in the city of Nasik. 130 million liters of sewage water is treated. They made the conventional sewage treatment plant, it didn't work, couple of 100 crores. Then they called us in and we now it's running. We haven't changed the tanks, but using biotechnology, even if you're standing next to it, you can't smell it, And that water is going into the Godavari river and the farmers are very happy now. So technologies are available for sewage treatment, effluent treatment. Cleaning the Ganga is the easiest thing. The only thing is we can never reach it because we don't have the political connection, nor do we have the muscle. So there again, Ram and KC, they are going to be our muscle men. To that's the only way to get work done from you. So that is one. Secondly, Mr. Kalra very clearly mentioned about water. It's a very, very serious problem. I want to share this with you. The cheapest technology in the world for drinking water is available, is running for the last 15 years in India. The cost is 0.1 paisa per liter. I mean, when you go to Europe, when you go to France or USA or Germany or Japan, you don't buy bottled water. You go to the bathroom, open the tap, fill up the glass and drink it. Because bottled water, for your information, has got a negative footprint. Anybody wants, I've got a PowerPoint from 6 NGOs from USA, they sent it to me 3 years ago, as to how dangerous is bottled water, because you can't get rid of these bottles. Secondly, bottled water is 2,000 times more expensive than good tap water. So the question is, in a poor country like India, can we really afford it? So the technologies are available, they are running. Anybody interested, please give me your card, and I've already given you the details in this. So we have biotechnology for sewage, effluent, and we have technology for drinking water. Now, the question I'm going to ask you is that all of us have forgotten in this entire Swachh Bharat thing. The whole planet is getting dirty because of chemical farming. Today, chemical farming, I've just come back from a trip to USA, Germany, Switzerland, and I was working on organic farming. I've signed up some MOUs and all that. I plan to bring in organic farming into India in a big way. People have forgotten that about 100 years ago, it used to be only organic farming. Where the hell were the fertilizer plants? Where were the insecticides? Where were the pesticides? And I'm sure many of our learned audience here will know that in the good old days, we have used neem ki patti and this and that and hundreds of other things for as insecticides and pesticides, and we have clearly thrown it out. We have said, nahi, ye bahut kharab hai, you buy this from Monsanto, you buy this from Bayer, you buy this from chemical. So let me just share this thought with you, that those chemicals are going in the soil. That soil is growing cereals, fruit and vegetables. Animals and human beings are eating that. All our bodies are getting contaminated with chemicals. So I think that's a very big threat, and I can tell you that organic farming is going into a very big way in Europe and America. People are not talking about it because the tobacco lobby, the gun lobby, and the fertilizer lobby, they have very deep pockets, you know, in America. And I think in India, we should talk about it. And anybody interested in organic farming, again, you know, please do be free to contact us. We'll give you so much information that you'll stop eating from tomorrow. So my last question to the panelists is that can we make a 2-3 point agenda? I mean, I'm asking the panelists. I'm not going to make it after this session, and give it to the organizers so then they can move it to the necessary ministry in the government. So if you want, you can just mention it and then later on write it and give it. And so you'll only get half a minute for it, and then we go to the audience.
I think what you said is really important because this is not just for the policy makers. Of course, the actual change will happen there. But the way we see it, if you look at the means of production and distribution, we go from a socialist, PSU-driven economy to good old crony capitalism now. And you must realize that both ways you have to look at the nitty-gritty, the way the implementation goes. And again, the same thing. We have gone willy-nilly from the whole old system where there was oral traditions of how crop growth will be to now this Monsanto-driven and the crop cycles are getting reduced. This is the biggest threat to biodiversity, creating a monoculture, which is actually going to take away whatever little we have left of the agrarian economy. And because I think we have not understood liberalization for what it is, because we just feel something bad, we're going to something good, without realizing what that entails. I think this knee-jerk reaction that we've got, we really have to study. When you see WTO, why there was a scuttle at Seattle? All over, even in Italy, there were movements. But if you have a movement against GMCs, against Monsanto or Cargill, you're considered a leftist or a Marxist. So there has to be deeper understanding also by policymakers, academics and media when they discuss these issues. Because we actually feel that we're becoming anti-development when we talk about these issues, when you talk about farmer rights. So that's something I need to.
I agree with you. You know, Shazia, when you go to war, have you seen those films where this guy, Schwarzenegger, you know, prepares, he's got one, you know, knife here, one there, he's got bullets, he's got grenades. So we have to be prepared, you know, when we go and talk to those guys, we have to have all the ammunition with us so that if they open their mouth, we can kill them, you know, verbally at least. And I think if we do our homework on organic farming, all these guys, starting with the government, you know, because I would request this panel to look at organic farming because we are really poisoning the earth. After 20, 30 years, nothing will grow. And are you going to eat CDs and keyboards and, I mean, what are you going to eat? You have to eat food, isn't it? Sir.
The 30 seconds that the moderator has given me, I'd like to give 3-point agenda to the organizers, if they can take it further. First is very strict enforcement of solid waste processing wherever it is generated. It must be made obligatory and very strictly enforced. And there are processes available. Incidentally, once again, I refer to Bangalore, where simple, small processors costing about 1,200 to 1,500 rupees for each house are available there. Number two, even stricter administration of the emission control from our vehicles and from our factories. Today, I think this clean emission certificate has become a kind of a joke. You pay 50 rupees, you get a certificate, and then no one checks the certificate. We don't check ourselves in any case, because unfortunately in our country, it's only the fines, I'm borrowing Jodi's words, which she said right in the beginning, which work. Maybe they were everywhere else also. And finally, water. It's criminal when I see people hosing down their cars in front of their houses, and even the driveway in front of their houses and the patch of the road. And I go around and I keep checking them, and there are 3 kinds of drivers who give me answers. One of them says, "Aapko kya jata hai, aap jaiye." Then this other said, they're very nice, they say, "Uncle ji, sorry, aage se nahi karenge." I tell them, take half a bucket of water, that's all you need to clean a car. You don't need to waste 200 liters of water by... And there is the third one, when I turn around, they say, "Ye buddha pagal ho gaya, aise hi kehta rehta hai." So, but we've got to keep doing it. There's no other way to do that. I think we've got to enforce. The government will make laws, government should enforce laws, but at the same time, community has to do it.
Thank you. So we have to think about reducing waste also, and I'm just going to bring make you a little bit uncomfortable again, sorry. But when we organise an event, what do? We hand out all of this paper. Do you want that paper? Do you want all of these things that are given to you? Will you put this in the dustbin, or will you pass it back so it can be used again? When you print flexes, I've been to environmental conferences where they print 20 standees with the date on. They can't be used for anything again, nor can the flexes. It's non-recyclable. And then you sign on the flex saying, I pledge to save the environment. It makes absolutely no sense. When I'm talking about event waste management, there'll be 1,000 people for 10 days, and the caterers bring in these stacks of styrofoam, plates and cups, because, hey, you don't have to wash it. It's non-recyclable, and it never, ever, ever decomposes, and the chemicals that are inside it that make it so durable that it lasts forever are so harmful. And these are the things that we are all guilty of when we have these parties and we don't think about where that's going to go afterwards. And we need to start thinking about where that's going to go afterwards. And also, your McDonald's, your fast food chains, they also need to be accountable. Because even in the UK, where segregation is mandatory, somehow McDonald's and the fast food chains, they don't have to do it. Yet every single item that they're handing out is actually recyclable. Plus, when you take that burger, when you eat in, do you really need someone to wrap it there for you to unwrap it here? The answer is no. So we also need to rethink those practices as well.
Well, in our country, actually, some of the fine also does not work. And some basic things, the corruption at every stage has to be eradicated. And if you remember Asia's Games, they put the fine that you should not walk in that lane or drive in the lane. People did not agree. And when they put behind the bars, nobody disobeyed that. So point is that even one thing is there. And again, the monitoring is very much required. Like in the foreign countries, they have got radar patrolling, so nobody exceeds the speed. So similarly, we, by appeal, as I made to Manjal Saab, appeal to all builders are, that when you are making the houses till the government comes with the law, you please, as a CSR, do it, the toilets and dustbins in every block, wherever you feel after every 10 houses. And naturally, when the things are available, people will do it. And thirdly, all the time, do one thing, be yourself an example, and things will be all right.
You're running away? Okay. Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much. We must thank our panelists. Shazia, she has to run away. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm opening the house for first for comments. We have maximum 20 seconds. If your comment is good, you can go to 30 seconds.
Do you want this mic?
VK, why don't you just, we can hear you.
Just, there's a lot of stress on cleaning. I'm just going to tell you, all the cantonments in India, we are very, very clean. I'm a naval person, our ships are very clean. We visited one Japanese ship. That was even much cleaner than our ship also. So during the dinner party, I asked the party officer, how do you keep it so clean? His answer was, we never make it dirty.
Excellent. Thank you.
Adding to that, that's we call it 5S, in Japanese.
Yeah, the 5S.
So the two principles of 5S: don't clean, keep it clean, and second is place for everything, and everything at its place. That's it.
I just mentioned, we were trained by our parents in such a way that इस तरह से चीजें संभाल के रखो कि अगर लाइट चली भी जाए तो you should know where to brush is and where things have gone. You should be very systematic in life, and that is the cleanliness will come automatically. Yeah. No dirt will be there, no litters will be there once you're keeping things at the place.
And I will agree, cantonments are clean, but you still have illegal dumping grounds. They are not scientific, they are not sanitary, they're polluting the groundwater, you've just hidden it better. That's all. And there's laws. The municipal solid waste rule is slightly different for the armed forces, but it's the same. And so those laws are also being broken. You know, burning garbage is against the law according to the municipal solid waste rules. If you come to Dehradun, not one of the 1,500 sweepers has gloves or anything to pick up that garbage. They make a pile and they burn it. You would see such big changes overnight if those laws were enforced, going back to that, but also the cantonment boards can make some improvements too, but yeah, they're doing a better job.
Yeah, I would just like to give a real life experience.
20 seconds.
Yeah, school. I studied in a very remote town in India, Dhanbad.
10 seconds are over.
It was an American Jesuit-run school. Now the school had a practice that the students were divided onto days, and the group of 4 students every day will have to do the broom sweeping, cleaning of windows, cleaning of the board, and everything was looked after by the students themselves. So there were, although there were sweepers and cleaners, they were only meant for the gardens and the lawns and the football grounds.
Excellent.
So I think that's an example.
Okay, now we have a special guest from Sweden, and there is some very fantastic world-class technology, and I would like to give him 2-3 minutes.
Can I just have 30 seconds?
Okay, sir. Please, 30 seconds and then...
I'm a media person,
Right.
and I feel that CSR has to be redefined. It's not giving books. It's not, camps for eye vision and things like that. But social messages have to go into the media very strongly. It was only Doordarshan which used to do that. Now media has proliferated into 500 channels, but they have been left scot-free to make money. Small messages, put forward by corporates and paid for as commercials in the private channels should be brought forward. As it is said, old habits die hard. आप भी मूंगफली खाएंगे, उसको बाहर फेंकेंगे छिलके को. We cannot change habits just by seminars alone. It has to be
carpet bombing, I said. It has to be done every day.
It took 60 years for a prime minister to bring down to a Swachh, Bharat, to a thought process. That thought process has to percolate to carpet bombing.
Agreed, sir. Sudhir, will you please enlighten the audience and the panelists with good news you have?
Well, the good news is like this, that, Sweden is one of the countries where they actually recover 99% of the waste from, all the garbage in every form. They, as compared to Europe is about 50%. They are buying garbage from other countries and now reusing that. In fact, they have also come up with technologies where, the heat loss when you're, when you're heating a house or when you're, burning the thing for the chimney, you actually at plus 80 degrees, when the chimney is going, smoke is going up, they are using that heat to create electricity.
But your waste is not the same as our waste. European waste is completely different.
No, I'm coming to that. In fact, Sweden has been doing a lot of projects over here in the last 10 years because of SIDA funding. And in that funding, I'm going to tell you something very interesting now. Now I'm talking about India. India has about 4% of the world water, drinking water, and 16% of the population. We have a major problem there, number one, because all the water is contaminated. That's, the first, the biggest, because all your diseases and all are coming from there. The next problem is, India, urbanization took place very fast. Each toilet, a water toilet in India, is using 15,000 liters of water, drinking water, per year to take one person's human waste, which is 300 liters. So what are we doing? We are actually not, using the water what we have for the right thing. Even in the farmers and all, there is such a lot of waste of water. I've got figures, which I can't believe. Sweden is using 9% of its water for farming. India is using 93%, out of which about 50% is just going waste. So we have no management of anything.
Can you tell us about the...
yeah, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
You see,
in 1939, there was one of the Swedish guys who invented this composting toilets, which the reason was because they didn't want to pollute the lakes, they didn't want to pollute the islands, they didn't want to pollute and that has been going on for now for about more than 60 years. They have made such beautiful toilets. There's no smell. All the nutrients from the fecal matter, from the urine, are converted into a fertilizer. And today, those projects have been done in Bihar. They have done these projects in the last 4 years, and they have actually found that each family which has been using these toilets and using the nutrients as a fertilizer are saving 13,500 rupees. So you see, it becomes an incentive. If you look at all the toilets which are made in India till now,
Sudhir, what we're going to do is, once we get that email from Naveen, we're going to circulate it to all the participants. I'm sorry because I'm just looking at my ghadi. We just have 15 minutes left.
No problem.
Thanks a lot. We'll be in touch.
I'll give you
good work you're doing.
Yeah.
I think maybe Jyoti, you could pick up a few for Dharamsala. Those toilets. They're not expensive.
They have them at the Paramathaniketan ashram as well.
Okay.
These bio toilets.
Okay.
In Dharamsala, one of the first things I got into was finding water pipes that had holes this big in them. And the way they fix holes in Dharamsala is you get sticks and you poke the twigs in. And then, obviously, this doesn't last for a very long period of time. People at the hotels in Dharamsala buy water from a truck. We are a few kilometres away from the water source. That water then has to come down to the rest of India. And we are massively wasting it up there. And some of those pipes are what the British laid.
Okay, can you give the...
Just want to share one word. Whenever you go to any house, please tell them to sweep in the dust and not sweep out the dust. And if everybody talks about it in every home that you visit, more dust will not come onto the street, because our attitude seems to be always sweep out and never sweep in.
Thank you very much. Any other suggestions? And then we'll go to questions. We need a mic here. बोलिए sir, बोलिए.
They are banned.
I come from Noida. High-rise building. The garbage is collected, and it is collected into the polythene bag. It is totally biodegradable waste. If it is thrown in open, it will get degraded in 2-3 days. But once it is inside the polythene bag, it keeps on steaming and getting collected, and it is in heat. So it is a very simple solution. At least we can ban polythene bags in India, which will solve 50% of the problem.
Thank you, sir.
Polythene bags are banned, but they use.
Yeah, that's where the governance...
No, bags are banned in certain states. They're not banned in pan-India.
Or different sizes and different microns.
Okay, let's hear.
Second time, but just one.
No, let the other gentleman behind you.
To start with, let's say charity begins at home. Why not we, at the end of the conclave, we pass on this back to the organizer so that it can be reused.
Agreed. Thank you. Good idea.
Just on the lighter note, I think like in other countries, India maybe should not have maids at home. अपने आप जब खुद कूड़ा उठाना पड़ेगा तो मेरे ख्याल से तब वो कहते हैं ना कि नानी याद आएगी and we'll stop throwing. So probably so.
Of grading all buildings or colonies according to the cleanliness quality. So let's say that a colony or a society that is A plus in terms of their overall keep, like Swachh Bharat, A plus, then taxes or sale purchase or whatever, there is a discount or the subsidy that they get, something like that. Or Ministry of Udyog Bhavan gets the rating, Shakti Bhavan gets the rating. All the organizations,
Idea is good, but I think first we have to put our house in order for simpler things before we go to these sophisticated things. But idea is excellent. Okay, now any questions or any other comments from the audience? We still have 7.5 minutes.
It's one suggestion, if you permit me.
Yes, sir.
I remember in the 60s, in the small villages, as our country is dominated with villages only, there were no flush latrines available. So what they did at that time, I can't explain in English, they made it Sokta Gadda, I mean the absorbable ditch, what you call it. So that was made of bricks and broken bricks, the material of the bricks, and that was the life was 10 years. There were some gaddas whose life was 20 years. So once you make it, you save the water. It was a flush system. Nothing you have to clean. It goes automatically. And after 10 years, earn the revenue by selling the manure. So appeal to again builders. If such things of technology we can again revive and think, why not?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And another thing that I would like to get out there is something called the 10-meter challenge, which is something that I want to start in Dehradun. This gentleman over here, I love it. This just sweep outside of our gates, it can go over there and over there. What about if we maintained that 10 meters outside our house, and every single person in this room did that, and if every shop did that, and if every street meant every school, you have certain institutions that their perimeter goes for kilometers. It's so important what's inside those walls. Why is it also not what's important what's outside? In the West, we are judged by our communities, the community that you live in. No one goes inside your house. Only the people that you know. So nobody knows how clean it is inside. So we do also need to start maintaining outside. Let's not just wait for the government to perform some miracle, huh? It's as we just keep on saying, it starts with us. And you can go home today and you can say to your helps or your kids, from now on, guys, we're going to make sure outside is clean too. From today. And then your neighbour might start doing that. And then maybe your street will do that. And who knows, maybe next time you see me, your whole colony will do it.
Thank you. I just wanted to, before Sudhir, before I get back to you. Yeah, no, after you. No, you.
No, I just wanted to share with you, there is a study by the Central Pollution Control Board, which in fact was reported in yesterday's newspapers, that urban India generates 130,000 tons of solid waste every day. I think this is an understatement because that works out to roughly, if I look at the urban population at about 600 million, I think it works out to only 200 grams a day per capita per day, which is an underestimation because in the big metro cities, this can go up to a kilo or 1.2 kilos also per head. Now that's a huge lot of amount. The point that I want to make is that only 10% or less than that needs to go to the landfills. Today we are our cities are getting converted into landfills. There are huge mountains of landfills and these landfills are not even designed properly. There is a standard landfill design. There have to be filters there. There has to be certain kind of, only the what is called the hygienic waste or the sanitary waste needs to go to the landfills. Wet waste I mentioned earlier must be processed, converted into manure, and the manure can be used either in the houses, in your own flower pots or wherever they need to be. And the dry waste, in any case, we are very good at recycling dry waste because the raddiwala collects the raddi from home and pays the household or something, and that's why it gets recirculated. Indians by nature are great at recirculating. Even a brown paper bag that comes home is reused once or twice or 3 times or 4 times before it is thrown away. But when it comes to the wet waste, we just want to find a corner and throw it away. When it comes to the sanitary waste, we do the same thing. That is where I think we need greater emphasis and greater regulation and enforcement of that before we'll be able to get some results.
Thank you. I just wanted to throw one idea to the audience. Rainwater harvesting. When Suresh Prabhu was the Minister for Interlinking of Rivers, I used to interact with him more than 10 years ago. And after 3 years of discussion in Delhi and Bombay, he told me in February 2004, the good news is that the Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee at that time, has agreed for rainwater harvesting. Why I'm saying rainwater harvesting? Because we get free water, during the monsoon. But our monsoon is a very definite type of rain. We get 100% of the rain mostly in 3 months, 50% in about a month, and you get balance 50% in 2 months. So if you don't catch that water during those 3 months, you're going to wait another 1 year, because it all flows down the river and goes into the sea. And the sad part is that the villages, you know, the 6.5 lakh villages, most of them don't do any rainwater harvesting. And where they are doing rainwater harvesting, they have 3 crops a year. And the thing is, rainwater harvesting is so important, because that water which comes from heaven free of cost, we just let it go down the drain literally. So that is one thing I thought I'll just share with you. And if there are any more questions, because we do have another 3 minutes. Sudhir, you wanted to say something? Keep it closer to you. Okay.
You see, and the school children are going to, they are going to create what they call an eco brigade, which is going around the community to explain to them how to sort the waste and why they should sort the waste. And if that works out fine, then they want to go further to adopt a park. You know, so this is the whole project which we are starting now.
Sounds great. I think we finally have to go to the kids, you know, because they have the energy, they have the motivation, and
they can change you. You can't change them.
I mean, it's no use wasting time with people like me, you know, who got grey hair.
My appeal to everybody is, because 30 seconds left and is very particular timings, that what is that appeal to everybody is, make it paperless office, use less paper. When the na rahega baans na bajegi bansuri, jab litter hoga hi nahi, where will you throw it? So point is, make it paperless office. At the moment we don't need, till we develop the character of cleanliness, this exposable, or sorry, all these plates and other things, disposable I mean, that should be stopped for some time. And thirdly, the main important thing is that, what should I say finally, that make this country not only Swachh, make Clean India also, so that all pollution, all everything is over. Let's make Swachh Bharat and Green Bharat also.
Thank you. Any last words, Jyoti?
I just want to say it's really, for me, I've been working with garbage for 5.5 years. So when the Prime Minister is on TV and he's announcing these kind of things, it feels like all your dreams are coming true. And I really don't want this to lose momentum. And I also don't want to see too many more pictures of celebrities sweeping nothingness. I want to see them picking it up. I want to see them segregating it. And I want to see them using the dustbins and recycling. We need to move away from this a little bit as well. And I really hope that we all, which part you're here for today, please give this your full support. And if you have contacts, or you can make donations to organisations like mine that are working on a grassroots level, working very, very hard without a single rupee of government funding, we're funded by the goodwill of the people, then please do that, because you do make a difference. And the reason this country is in such a mess is because people think, I am only one, I can't do anything, and you can. It starts with you.
It started by comments that there are 3 dimensions of Swachh Bharat. One is what has been pronounced by the Honorable Prime Minister about creating toilets for half the population of India. Other is that we have to have cleaner air and cleaner water. And even yesterday when we read about the release of the Government of India's wall calendar, it says Clean India means Green India. So let's talk about Green India, which encapsulates Clean India and along with clean air and clean water also. Then only we'll be able to achieve our target of Swachh India.
Thank you very much, panelists. Can I ask the audience to please congratulate our learned panelists. And I'd like to hand back this session to the organizers. I've given you 1 minute saved. Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I have 1 minute, so you can have. Yeah, okay. There are two people. Okay. Please go ahead.
programs called as PDPs, Personality Development Programs. Has there been ever that a waste management program is introduced? We have sex education, we have what is called disaster management programs happening introduced in the school. Why not waste management? I have never ever seen a waste management program being promoted in any school.
Can you send me an email? We'll send it to Smriti Irani. Yeah, I agree with you 100% because we should teach the youngsters this as a subject. Yeah, yeah. Please, I expect an email from you. And okay, there one more last time. I still got 30 seconds. Come on. Good. Thanks. Wonderful. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to the audience and thank you to all our panelists. May I request Mr. Khanna to kindly present the mementos to them. Shazia had to leave, but thanks to her. Thank you.
Say that somebody, one of my friends, will be getting a present wrapped in this paper at some point, yeah. And again, this is something that we can all do.
Unwrapped. No, yeah. Thank you so very much for pointing out these, things which we don't when we are organizing conferences also not use. Spoke about the waste, yeah.